Hey everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. Okay, so I have been using a Mac now for about a month, and I thought I would give everybody who's a bunch of nerds and doing a nerd alert here an overview of what I use currently and what it looks like I'm committed to using on this Mac OS 10 environment. So this particular computer that I'm working on is the latest MacBook. I think it's 8 gigs, but let me just pull it up. So let me just explain some stuff. I'm traditionally a Mac head. I've always liked Mac and Apple product. Um, I have used Windows for numerous years, but the latest versions of Windows 10 and with the spying and blah blah blah, I'm just kind of tired of it, and I've now resorted over back to Apple technology with OS 10, El Capitan, as I'm starting to build out a new trading environment with various Python, C++. I'm going to go do an overview with that in the hardware and the choices why I'm using this. With Microsoft just going crazy on forcing people with updates and spying on people, or supposedly what I'm reading, I'm tired of it. I don't trust Microsoft, and a lot of the product and the versions of Windows 10 have been absolute trash, and it's been a really bad experience. So I'm going to be dropping it entirely. As it stands right now I'm just going to show you the Mac and a virtual machine as well. So right now we've got just standard 60 gig, 250 gigs on a flash drive, and I'll tell you something. The flash drive is new to me, and I'm digging it. It's fast, and I'll show you as well. As you can tell here, I've just bought a new, I think it's a Seagate Slimline something or other. These things are really good for archiving, and basically I have videos I record a lot, and that's where those get stored on these type of drives. So it's kind of useful for that. Also, I just picked up a Magic Mouse from Apple. These things make me more productive as I'm a traditional Mac, or sorry, a mouse fan. They do have a trackpad. I don't need to get that fancy. These are not cheap mice, but they are pretty cool. All right, so that's the hardware. So let me just walk you through my software. Now, first of all, if you come under the launch pad, I've got all kinds of cool stuff here. The way it's looking, I've got the standard, all the Office stuff, 365, Excel. I'm pretty well in and out of quite a bit. Everything else, it's helpful with the Word and whatnot. But my program right now in the Office suite is Excel. I do like the Apple keynote and numbers, but the world is on Excel, so I just conform. Okay, so that's all the Office stuff. So as I said, let me show you the virtual machine. Now, I have used VMware quite a lot. I like VMware. Never had any real issues. VMware in a Windows environment, but I thought, hey, just do VirtualBox. I believe this is the 5. Let me just check that out. VirtualBox 5. Yeah, so not had any problems with it. I do have a Windows 7 environment, and I'm looking at it. I'm trying to move off of Windows as much as possible. I'm kind of torn where who's going to be my data source. It's probably going to be still IKEFeed. I've not seen any other data provider. I have used interactive brokers. Maybe you've seen my Java stuff. We'll get into that in a little bit. But for now, I'm using Windows 7. The way I'm probably going to keep it is IKEFeed and just keep everything in what I'm used to. And if you see my Q collector and IKEFeed stuff, I'd highly recommend you to check out my YouTube playlist for that. Let me just load up my channel. So you can see I leverage a lot off of my YouTube channel because that's where I archive all my videos and stuff. I got about 1,100 of them. So if you come to my playlist, if you're trying to learn what I do in Windows, I have here IQ feed, as well as I did IQ feed, and if you still want to use TWS link, uh, kind of recommend those for Windows, and that's pretty well the only things that I'm using for Windows. Everything else I'm pretty well can run on Mac or Linux, no hesitation. So with that in mind, that's the virtual machine with the Windows. Now I don't see myself ever, I'm trying not to go back to .NET, C#, all that stuff. Um, it's okay, but as I've mentioned before, Windows 10, I'm done with it, and I'm trying to get Microsoft out of my life, with the exception of Windows itself for things like IQ feed on top of uh, the Office suite. So there I'm kind of lagging there, and a lot of people still don't want to port over into Linux or Mac OS 10. That's fine, but I just find it very painful now with the new Windows 10. It may improve, but by the time they improve it, I'm not going to be a guinea pig anymore and wait it out for a year or so for Microsoft to get their act together, as opposed to Apple, where they release an OS. It's a pretty clean version. It's stable and no glitches so far. Very productive with what I've shown on the hardware side, as well as the OS 10 itself. All right, so that's all fine and good. So I do use Thunderbird. I use Thunderbird because of the security that you get with Thunderbird, Mozilla, open source. If you are living in a paranoid world, which I think we're moving towards, Thunderbird's kind of cool because when you using encryption PGP with their addition is great because I can have the key send over the client key to whoever's going to receive that email and be able to encrypt on both ends and own the keys. Now, if you are using something like Outlook, Mail, or Hotmail, or whatever, it's funny because Microsoft says they support it, but yet they still own one of the keys. So you're really not true encrypting because they still have one of those keys. So they can still decrypt your messages. Just so everybody knows, you want to use something like Thunderbird for true security and privacy. Okay? All right. So we've mentioned VirtualBox for virtual machines and Thunderbird. Now, as it stands right now, if you know me, I like my Matlab. If you go through these apps, you won't find Matlab anywhere on this system. That's fine, but it's a very expensive piece of software, and I'm trying to kind of move away from Matlab, even though I do really dig Matlab. So nothing against Matlab, and there's still gonna be a lot of Matlab stuff out there that I'm gonna try to port over either into C++, Java, or Python. And let's continue. Okay, so you see all this stuff here. A lot of it I don't really use. PyCharm, the IDE for Python, it's pretty cool. For those that want to know on how I've set up my Python environment, just come under this playlist here, the Python attack. And I've got here, one of these videos will show you how I built this Python environment. I'm using Python 2.7. So let me just see what we got here under Python. Somewhere in here. Oh, no. Or I know I've got Python in here. Let me just do a search. OS 10. There we go. This video right here will walk you through on how I set up the environment for OS 10, I believe, but it's pretty straightforward. All right, so as I said, we've got Python here. I've mentioned the two tools I'm digging right now. This is the PyCharm Community Edition. It's free. I haven't played enough with it yet, but I think this will be my IDE of choice for Python as I move into it. Enough of that fun stuff. And again, it's free. All right. So my other two tools is not the standard terminal uh, program or application. I use this thing called iTerm. It's free, and it's got a little better interfacing with the terminal. I do like it. So that's iTerm. Now, the other editor I really like for programmer's editor is Sublime. This is it. I've already talked about this. If you go under my playlist again, you'll find an Apple technology uh, playlist, all the tools I've talked about, so I thought I'd just mention that briefly. Now, as we move into Sublime, this editor is very cool and makes me very productive. Here, you'll notice I'm also eventually going to start building out some cool little interfaces and GUIs and whatnot, graphical user interfaces, all done in Python using Qt Designer. I really dig it. And I've got some a playlist on that. I think it's under my Python here. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. Running Qt Designer with a Python PyQt graph. I'm not going to get into that. But that's a tool that I do really dig. All right, so we've talked about PyCharm. We've talked about the Qt Designer. Now, Qt Creator for C++ I couldn't get working. It's just a beast. And to be honest, I don't think I'd want to build out interfaces with C++ using Qt. I want pure C. And anyways, I'm not really interested in using C as a monolithic kind of application. I'll keep that within the Qt Designer and Python. Thank you very much. So that's how I'm thinking that. All right, so now, where else can we go? Talked about my email. Of course, I'm using ScreenFlow for my videos. All this other stuff I don't really use a whole lot. GoToMeeting, of course, for my meetup webinar stuff. Now, Postgres and Postico I've mentioned before. I'm kind of torn with Postgres. Even though I like the database, it's kind of development-wise is really wonky to set up and get working using specifically C++. So for now, I'm putting that on the back burner, but I have, again, talked about Postgres. Let's see if I've got it here. Postgres, no. But somewhere in my channel, you'll see that I do talk about Postgres. Let's go back in there and see what we can find on Postgres. Yeah. I think somewhere in here I did mention Postgres right here on Postgres SQL on Mac OS 10. All right, so that's that. And the other tool I use for that is Postico. Got the trial. It seems to work okay. All right, so we've got Postgres. Now, I have tried using MySQL. It's a complete botch on Mac. Oracle has, whatever reason, not with the workbench, not included the utilities. It's good old Oracle in action, so I dumped MySQL before that. I've also looked at MariaDB. Again, it's just not up to par as how I like it. And what have I used now instead? Well, I'm using right now, and I'm not sure if I'll keep this permanent, is SQLite 3. And I've got some videos on SQLite, recent ones. And SQLite seems to be working okay. The tool that I've looked at so far is Valentina Studio, which is free. So this is kind of like a tool that you can use for SQLite. And I've shown how to use that in various videos on my YouTube channel. So just do a search on SQLite. You'll probably get some recent videos. There you go. This one as well, using Python, C++, Xcode. All right, before I continue on to the C++, I just wanted to show you Retta Server. That is going to be my residential database for in memory for more speedy stuff in C++. And I've shown demos on how to use it with Python as well. Works no problem. Hotsy totsy, yabba dabba doo. All right, so let's get into all the different IDEs that you can get for Mac OS 10. Now, I've tried Eclipse. It's okay. It's buggy. I wouldn't recommend it. There's also NetBeans, which is okay. For Java, I use it, but the Eclipse, I don't know. For now, I'm going to be using my Xcode, which is the IDE from Apple, and I'm right now just looking at only really using it for C++. That's it. So here's an example of C++ program, and I do like this IDE quite a bit. I haven't had any problems with it. Oh, let me just show you something else. I have been experimenting with Xcode this is a beautiful thing I like about it. If you are a Mac head or become a Mac head, you have all these different templates for iOS, watchOS, and tvOS, all done in Swift. So if I want to develop applications for any of these options for mobile or OS 10 as well as a desktop app, I can do that, do it with Swift. I'm nowhere close. I haven't even touched Swift, but I think it's an interesting option that we should be on the lookout, being in January 2016. We don't know where Swift will be, but I think it is going to be a very popular language, no different than where Objective-C was for iOS mobile development. So that is Xcode. Okay, so the other tools for the broker that have been very useful so far is Trader Workstation from Interactive Brokers on top of the NetBeans. Now, I've shown the demos here. It's 100% compatible with Interactive Brokers. You can find on Linux or Windows. I haven't had any problems with it so far. And I do keep everything in demo mode. So I've shown lots of demos on that. If you actually come under my playlist, once again, look for Interactive Brokers. You'll find all my demos and all that fun stuff that I've done with Interactive Brokers and the TWS. And I do dig Interactive Brokers on Mac. I've not had any problems. As you can see here, the software is getting updated, and let's load her up. Can't even remember my demo user is the password for demo mode, and let her load up. So I've not had any problems with Java. So if I do a Java version, that's 1.8. I think that's the major current version. I'm not sure if I've got the compiler loaded up. I do, but I don't really do a lot of Java. I guess I could do Java development. So I'll let this puppy load up. Now, again, the choice for my case with Java IDEs is NetBeans. Now, this version of NetBeans, the IDE, was specifically just for Java only, but I've just downloaded this now where it's virtually pretty well all the languages. So here you can see, here's my Interactive Brokers TWS, la-di-da-di-da, awesome. Okay, whatever. And I've got lots of videos on this. And again, it's no different than being on Windows, Linux, or now Mac OS 10. So as my NetBeans loads up, if I go into new project, let's see. Here you can see all the languages that we have. Can't even remember how to see what language options we have, but I'm not here to teach you NetBeans. But You can see here I've got one of the projects. Just see if I can load it up. Run as. We have to be into the source file here. Okay, it doesn't matter. So I've got lots of videos on that, how that loads up, so I can interface with TWS. So I think those are all the apps that I've got running. Not going to be using Razor SQL. I may keep it. I don't know. That's my choice for the GUI into Postgres. Just trying to see if anything else I've got that I should have here. See, I don't have Matlab, even though I do think my Matlab and all the standard Apple software. Talked about the VirtualBox, so it looks like we are done. All right, so that's how my setup is on this Mac, and I'll get on it on any new hardware software that I start to use. But your best bet is to keep your eyes on my YouTube channel, because I pretty well blog about everything. I'm surprised I'm not blogging about what I eat and other things. But I thought I'd put this video together just so people can understand where I'm at right now in January 2016 and where I'm going, doing more Python development and a lot of C++ as well. All right, hopefully I'll help you out. Talk to you later.